In this video, we're going to see how to create a dynamic component inside of SketchUp. Dynamic components let us interact with the elements that you create inside of SketchUp. These can be used in visual catalogs. Let's say, for example, if you want to create a piece of furniture that's interactable and you want to create extensive collection, you can use this as one piece of your catalog where customers can interact with your elements and see how it works in the real world. So let's see how we can do this quite simply. To do this, what I want to do is first I want to create a box. I'm going to create a box. I'm going to start from the origin point just so that we have the coordinates correctly. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to create a box which is 2 feet by 3 feet. Its base is 2 feet by 3 feet and the height is going to be 1 foot. And this is going to be a drawer. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to triple click, copy it and paste it here. So this is going to be the part where you put the drawer in. So let's see, I'm going to use my offset tool on the face here and I'm going to create, let's say, 1 inch border like so, and I'm going to use my push pull tool in order to create an opening like so. And this is the drawer parts which goes inside here, so I'm going to create that now. 1 inch, again a border of 1 inch, and then I'm going to use the push pull tool. I'm going to go all the way, but make sure that it has a base like so. And before I move it in, I'm going to create components out of these two. So triple click, right click and make component. So I'm going to name this as A, and I'm going to triple click, right click, make component. I'm going to name this as B. And now I can move the drawer inside. I'm going to move it so that it fits inside, and you see there's a bit of the drawer that juts out. I'm going to use my scale tool to push it in so that it's nicely snug in. So now what I want to do is I want to see how this drawer moves in and out. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my dynamic components, and the dynamic component tool looks something like this. And if you don't see the dynamic component toolbar, what you need to do is you need to right click and click on dynamic components. Now in the previous versions of SketchUp, the dynamic component toolbar looks a little different, but the tools are the same. You have the interact tool, then you have the component options tool, and then you have the component attributes tool. So the tools are basically the same, but the icons, they've changed in this particular version of SketchUp. That's okay. But if you don't see this dynamic components option, just go here and make sure that the dynamic components is switched on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert these two dynamic components. I'm going to click on my drawer component, which is we gave this the name B, and I'm going to go and click on component attributes here while it's selected. So I'm going to go here, click on component, dynamic component attributes, and you see it says B. Now what I want to do is when I click on this, I want something to happen. Basically the function that I need to happen is this needs to move forward, right? When I click, this needs to move forward. So the attribute that I'm looking for, if you click on this plus sign, it gives you a bunch of things that can happen here. The attribute that I want to include, or the function that I want to include, is on click. So when I click, something should happen. So I'm going to click, I'm going to select on click, and it says behavior. When on click, something needs to happen, and that something is going to be included here. So what we need to do is, in order to add that function, I'm going to click on this particular this arrow, and it gives us a bunch of functions that we can include. So if you drop this down, it gives you so many options. Now I want this to animate, so I'm going to select the animate option. On click, animate. So on click, something needs to happen, which is an animation, and that's that. And I'm going to go back into I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to say apply, and then here I'm going to click here so that the cursor is blinking, and I'm going to click on this button which says undefined insert, because it's undefined, but I'm going to insert it like so. So on click, it's going to animate, and we need to give an attribute, and the state 1, which is this state, and state 2 is going to be the opened state. That's what I want to happen. So the axis that I'm working on is the y-axis, so the attribute is going to be y because of the axis. And state 1, I'm going to select all of this and say state 1 is going to be 0, which is how it is right now, and the second state is going to be minus 30, which goes from here to here. So it's going to jut out 30 units, whatever unit that may be. It doesn't really matter which unit you're using, so 30 inches, 30 feet, whatever that you're working with. So it's going to jut out 30 inches this way. So let's see, I'm going to press not 30 inches but just 30 units. I'm going to press enter, and now it should work. The animation option is given. On click, animate y should move from 0 to 30. So in order for this to happen, I'm just gonna, in order for us to see how this happens, I'm going to use this interact with dynamic component button, which looks like a small hand, and I'm going to click on or press this component. So as you can see, now it becomes a dynamic object, and you can do different things with this. It doesn't necessarily need to be just a box. So for example, you can create a dough. I'm gonna delete all of this, and let's see if you can create a dough that swings. So I'm gonna use a dough which is, say, 3 feet 2 inches wide, and I'm gonna raise it up 7 feet. The same thing goes here. So I'm gonna triple click, right click, make component, let's say dough, and create. Now I'm gonna use my component attribute. It's already open, so it's here, so it's showing me the dough's attributes. Now again, the same thing, I want something to happen when on click, and then again I want it to animate. So I'm gonna go into functions, and I'm gonna insert this here. I don't have to go and find this attribute because it was already there from the previous thing that we did. So what I want to happen is I want a rotation to happen, and the rotation is going to be around the z-axis, really. So around the z-axis is where the rotation should be. So on click, it's going to animate. I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna say rot z, rotate around the z-axis, and the rotation should be 0 from the 0 state to, say, 90 degrees. Alright, whatever you need, that's what it means, right? So I'm gonna press enter. Let's see if it worked. I'm gonna use my interact tool, click here, and there we go, it's rotating 90 degrees. So like that, there are so many things that you can do to showcase whatever you create, how it functions in the real world once you create something. So it's as easy as that.